Hello, my cyber babies. It's the even more fabulous Mother Love. I am not an it. It's me, Mother Love, coming to you live and in vibrant color. I hope you all are having a wonderful day today. We all need to just make sure we can get to a place that you make sure you take time for you, just a little spot in the day, because I know that you're out there doing your thing, going to see people, making money, doing what you need to do to make sure that you are great and you are whole. And we are in very turbulent times right now. All the craziness that's going on in the world every day is a war breaking out in some foreign country, where they're foreign to in another country. In another country, we got people running around here, thinking that they can outrun the police. People are still stealing cars, killing up one another. We have to stop and take a breath. We got to stop and take time to realize we're only going to be here for a finite number of days, minutes, hours, well, however long it is. So let's stop wasting it and get into some fun stuff, and make sure that you have love and laughter around you at least 4 times a day. That would be my Mother Love recipe. That would laugh at least 4 times a day. Then you know that you're all right. And speak. I don't know. I know it's me. Okay, because today's guest, she's calling in from Canada. She is one of the scream queens from the 80s and the 90s. Her name is Lois Langlois. And she is just just done everything. See, when people always ask me, Mother Love, do you act? I have. I've done, my fair share of that, and I truly enjoyed it. She is okay, wait. Here she is right now. I don't even have to. Okay. Hi, Lisa. Okay. I can't see her face. So I okay. So keep saying what I was saying. This, I mean, they act like I just do this, wake up at two and not, and I am not ready to do this. I am ready to do this. All these, I need to take a look. I can hear you. No, that's not working. That is not working. Nonetheless, as it is, I don't know if we're gonna start calling this the Mother Love Technical Difficulty Show. Getting used to all the technology. I'm getting used to it, and every day it's like something new is being done. Something is, this version is outdated. Now you need to get another one of these versions. I'm still wanting to know the how advertisers can get you and I have to say, okay, you and my husband and all the fellas that I know and all the people who are involved who have a television, and just about everybody has a cell phone. And even babies have cell phones. They might not know how to use them. They will realize they don't chew on them. But nonetheless, everybody's got some kind of electronic device. And, it's all well and good with the artificial intelligence, and you got to really watch that because it could get real crazy. And they keep saying that, invest in artificial intelligence. It's going to be Amazon times 17, the whole 9 yards. I think it's moving too fast, that we need to, kind of pull back, not stop, but pull back and assess what's already been created. I mean, we got what's the guy's name that came up with what's his name? Mark Zuckerberg. He was sitting before Congress and saying that, they were quizzing him about, his responsibility and his company's responsibility about how, especially young people, are getting access to their Facebook. It was coming to me, and all these other platforms, how it's influencing so many people. So now I'm seeing commercials that say keep TikTok. I mean, I know that, which that's another thing. Okay, when you talk about all this artificial intelligence, all this information coming at you, full throttle times 12, full throttle, and trying to get a handle on it. I mean, he was up there testifying, saying, "Oh, he did say he made a mistake and he was wrong and he should have done better and his company should have done better." Okay, me personally, I don't believe that he was sincere about that. Maybe he was sincere in the fact that, oh, they finally caught on to what we were doing. We want to change and manipulate young minds. So you get them while they're young, and you start getting them used to the bells and whistles and everything and all the instant gratification. So then as they go through life, by the time they're 12, they're masters, or even younger. They're masters. I'm just amazed at how fast their thumbs goes and the fingers can go on the when they're texting one another, and it's going so fast. It's we don't want to go back to what people will call the good old days. We need to make us some good new days, and we're smarter than we were yesterday. So let's make sure that we can get it right and work on it today to make it better for tomorrow. We got generations coming behind us, and what are we going to leave them with? These kids now, they're moving so fast in the electronic world. It's like, and we, the adults as well, have stopped to look around and see what's important, who's important, and is it really just necessary, to keep this up at this pace. I'm saying we all need some new technology. It's going so fast. That's what I'm saying. It's going so fast. The kids are just, past masters at this electronic world. They don't even know what. Remember when we knew what telephones looked like? Now they're all, and they got that from Star Trek. Y'all can say whatever you can say, but I saw that on Star Trek, the TV show, with the flip phone. Did I just date myself? Yes, you did. Nonetheless, I think they're missing out on a lot of the human aspects and human intelligence with one another. A lot of these kids they believe that they're being social on social media, but when they're in front of people, and they don't seem to be able to engage face to face, or even in a crowd, or they're running with the crowd, or everybody's whipping out their cell phone instead of looking, especially with the kids in the school in the fights, instead of them calling the teachers or the security guard. Do they still have security guards in school? We never had a security guard. Our mother was the security guard. Our parents, our teachers could jack you up, and you bet go tell your mom, tell your mother and them I had to jack you up. No, I'm not telling them anything. Okay, I'll take the whipping from you, or whatever it is, getting struck with the ruler. But we were terrified of our parents. And these kids are like, and some of the parents are moving with the technology super, super fast. And some of the moms want to be their daughter's girlfriends. There's got to be the adults in the room, the middle children in the room, from the babies all the way up. We need to be in the room and not just keep trying to switch roles out. I want to be your friend. I got my own friends. Teach your children how to become social. When you're a sociable person, kids will pick up on what it is that you do. If you got your face in a computer, you got your face in a tablet the whole time, and all you see is the top of their head, and all they see is the top of your head. When you put it up, and when you sit it down, and I think a lot of these young people, and especially a lot of young adults, people younger than me, I would say that, and I'm in my late earlies, and to sit down and engage in human conversation, engage in it. Oh, let me see. No, and to engage, to be sociable. We have 4 grandchildren, and they're all three of them are teenagers, and one is an adult. I have an adult grandchild and 3 teenage grandchildren, and I cannot imagine what parents that have multiple children, how you handle it. I mean, my hat is off to you. My wig hat is off to you. All my hats are off to you, because parenting is not an easy job. And especially in this economy, when you robbing Peter to pay Paul too much month at the end of your money, you're trying to figure out stuff, and the kids want all these electronic devices. Oh, I need a new iPhone. I need a new iPad. I need a new CXWQ. PYZ. I can't keep up. It's moving really fast for people such as myself, and a lot of them are catching on. We got a 99-year-old pseudo dad who's on the internet most of the time. How about that? So we know that this is here to stay. How are we going to keep our social skills up? How are we going to be able to interact? What are we going to be able to do? And how will we believe what is HI, human intelligence, to AI, artificial intelligence? And that artificial intelligence, it's really amazing, is scary because you can do so much with it, and they've been doing so much with the digital since the digital age started. They've been, I mean, the animated movies. I remember when they called them cartoons. Now they're animated series, and you could do a whole see. I mean, The Simpsons have been on forever, so you know it's going to be around. All of this, all the animation, all the technology is going to be around. And are we headed for a future that's all we're concerned about? Technology, the digital, putting up all these supercomputers, wanting to have control over everything, and through the digital age. And what about the movies? What about the television shows? Are we going to be? And we know that movies and TV is make believe, but how much more make believe are we going to make it? And will we buy into this make believe? Because on AI, you could just put it. I did a recipe and I said, "Let me have the recipe for lasagna from scratch." The longest it took was 4 seconds to get that. So that's how much information is out there. That's how much more information is going to be coming out here with us. And are we ready? I believe I'm ready. And if I'm not ready, I'm gonna get ready, so I don't have to get ready. And it's been a learning curve. It's been rather challenging. I'm gonna let you know straight up, but excuse me, it's been very challenging for me. Having to learn the keyboard, and this is the one time that I wish I had stuck with my typing class when I was in high school and junior high. And well, my typing teacher hated me. I mean, she just hated me. And and they could go around, if you didn't have your fingers on the A, S, D, F, P, X, and Q, and the semicolon, L, J, L, K, J, she would come by your desk and pop you on the knuckles with her little ruler. And it wasn't a little ruler, it was a stick. I know what a ruler is. And she could pop you on the knuckles and look like he had been fighting somebody. Sometime they would be so knotted up. And she didn't like me, and I didn't like her. She was pregnant, and she was mean. She walked in the door with an attitude, and she like took out all of her frustrations for whatever happened outside the door. And put a block up for me. Having a flashback. Why aren't we? And it made, I knew I wasn't going to be able to learn anything from her. And teachers are so amazing, and they are willing to give you, pour Host. Okay. Okay, said okay, I can see her lips moving, but I can't hear her. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay. Oh, so my face is back. My face is back. Let me see if I can move it. Okay, there we go. All right. So back to the movie, folks. So are we gonna have to do this again? Okay, nonetheless. Okay. This is like getting real. So anyway, and she's got a storied career. I mean, she's been doing, and she continues to work. See, and that's what you want to do when you're in show business. You want to continue to work all the time. And I remember, a lot of young people that would come up to me, even when I was in Ohio doing radio, they would come up to me, ask me, well, what about this? And how'd you get into this? And I know people be on the grind getting into this business. And I was just, and I have continued to be just very, 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 very blessed and fortunate, because this is not something I would have even thought about doing like in 100 years. No, not really. I just wouldn't have thought to do that. But you know what they say? You want to hear God laugh? I don't think that was it. Tell him you're playing. Oh, that's my God laughing face. And I had my life planned out by the time I was 15. And I knew what I was going to have my own place. I was going to get my own apartment. I knew I was going to college. And because I was on a full ride, I had to stay in the dorm until my junior year. Okay, so I did all that. And yes, they labeled me a menace to campus life because I was always in trouble. Can you hear me? See, you got to take the X off. Right here. See, now it won't come on. Oh, is that me? Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is not working. Okay. This is not going to work. Okay, what is it? Oh, that's it. Okay. This. Oh, okay. Now, okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Oh, she's not talking. Can you hear me? No, she's. Well, oh, that's not. Anyway, Hollywood is a trip, isn't it? You just never know. I always likened it to working for Minuteman, one of those temporary agencies that you could go get the day work, and they pay you at the end of the day, and that's what it was. And when you got a whole week gig, in the same place, that was really good because you knew how much money you were going to be making, and then you also knew, how long you were going to be working. You could work at one place for one day or one place, for a week or two. The longest one I had was like they actually hired me. I went in as a date worker, and they actually hired me, and I was doing very, very well. I learned a new skill. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you see me? She can't see me. Okay. So obviously we're going to have to bring her on the show again. We'll have the technical difficulties sorted out by then. Let's hope we'll have it sorted out by then. And so, what was I telling you? Something crazy about my crazy life, I know, because I live a crazy life. Did I ever tell you other people when we go on the road, people think my husband is an FBI agent. And I don't make it any better. I don't tell them any different. But I still can't hear her. We just going to have to invite her again. That's it. So, oh, come on. Okay, this is not working. Okay. Okay. I don't know. You don't know how to get this down? Right here. technical difficulties, and we're having.
But they can see her. I can see her in there.
I can't hear her.
We just can't hear her at the moment.
And she can't hear me. Because if she could hear me, she would respond to my voice. And do we? Well, see, instead of this is what happens. I'm having it. I'm gonna call it my Jack Tapper moment. When he's talking and it just go like that. See, it's on a delay. Well, and there you go. This is what we do. So I hope that you're still there with me. I hope that you're still listening. I hope that you get, some nuggets, because sometimes you got to listen to Mother Love, because every now and then, I might say something brilliant. And every now and then, I might say something crazy. And sometimes I might, say something that's a little salty. People tell me all the time, now, was that necessary? I'm like, well, why didn't you just answer their question? Because it wasn't none of their business. People ask you questions, and then and get insulted when you say, well, I would say, well, why do you need to know that information? So I mean, how is that going to enhance your life for you to have that information about me? Now, and you guys know I am an open book, but sometimes people want to go to they want to go to the go to the curb and just try to. No, it's not going to happen. No. I remember I know I told y'all this. See, I don't have time to blow a lot of smoke. Life is too short. And when you get that's what they say, when people get old and set in their ways, make sure you got some ways to be set in that are positive. And the ones that are not so positive, make sure that you have the coping skills and the skill mechanism to be able to dial it back when you need to. And sometimes, I don't have a filter. I'm like the kids and the old people, and they don't have a filter, and they don't need to have a filter. Babies don't, they are learning. They're learning as they grow up. Older people, senior citizens and seasoned citizens such as myself and my friends, we've been through the trenches. A lot of us keep going through the trenches. Like Richard Pryor said, when you're running through hell, just keep running. Don't stop. And so make sure you got some some stuff that you are in control of. And I'm set in my ways for the most part. I would say I'm also willing to learn. I'm also willing to expand. I'm also willing to be I have to say checked with the truth, or what somebody else might perceive as the truth. And sometimes I might be off, and it's just my opinion. And the truth is the truth. That's one thing. But opinions are like buttholes. Everybody got one. And there's a difference between your opinion and what the truth is. And I was told that there are 3 sides to the story: your side, their side, and the truth. So y'all let that marinate. Just let that marinate. So you got to be ready, because people they're gonna come at you all kind of ways. One of my friends, he and his wife got 3 kids, and they're all teenagers. Oh, they're all teenagers. And their dad just talks to them like they people on the street. I mean, he cusses them. I'll tell them so and such and who dot to do. And I was like, why are you so hard on your kids like that? He said, better me mess them up before they get out in the street and somebody else mess them up. Because they know I love them, and they can come back in. Somebody in the street don't give a flying kitty about what they doing, what they thinking, about their safety. So I'm going to be the one. And I understood it completely. Parents, oftentimes, well, this is just me. You got to strike the fear into your kids to let them know you're running things. Our mother used to tell us, this is a totalitarian dictatorship. I told you we used to have to, when we were getting chastised or put on punishment or whatever, she would play, mama mind tricks. They ain't had the Yoda that had nothing on these mothers back in the day. She could throw the mind tricks on you. And you be sit up scratching your head like 2 or 3 weeks later, like, what did she mean by that? Was I supposed to get something like that? And you leave it alone, and then it comes back in your adulthood, and you go, okay, my mother had the fear. I was struck by the fear. I told you, my mama, God, and my mother. And they were the only 2. One living human being, my mother, and one in terrestrial being, God Almighty, the Alpha and the Omega. Yeah, that God. And I was scared of that. I'm still scared of I'm still scared of my mother. She left the planet a couple of decades ago, back in the 90s. And so I'm like, okay. So what are you going to do? You got to teach him. She said, this is a totalitarian dictatorship. So we got to go get that dictionary and the source and look up totalitarian. I mean, everything all encompassing dictatorship. I run the show. I tell you what to do. I tell you when to jump. You just ask how high. And I was like, ooh, I wonder if she could, can she hear me? This is just so crazy. It's a good thing she pretty. I hope she don't. I don't touch the buttons, just so you know. Just so you know. And so I kind of, you don't really know, like I was saying, you don't really know the kind of parent that you have been, that you are, until your children go out into the world. And it starts with school. When you got to take your kid to kindergarten, and for the first time, and they're separated from you, that can be some angst. I couldn't wait to go to school. I love school. I loved everybody from my kindergarten teacher all the way up to before I got my typing teacher. She didn't like me and I didn't like her. And she was pregnant, and you can't just be acting all crazy, get the baby all emotional. You have to be calm with pregnant women, and that's what I'm going to go. My mother said, just be calm with her. And she asked me, how pregnant was she? And I said, well, you could tell she's pregnant. So she said, maybe she's in her second trimester. I didn't know what that meant, but I know what trimester was, every 3 months. And so when she had the baby and came back, they said she was the nicest, sweetest person. So I just attributed to her being pregnant and her hormones. I still didn't like her, but she had the cutest baby. And I learned, like I said, I respected her, but I didn't have to like her. And people that you can learn from anybody, and I can learn from anybody and everybody. I can learn from the crackhead, from the pimps, from the prostitutes to the early girls, from the gangsters, to the T. I can learn something from everybody. I learned from the alcoholics and the dope fiend. I did not want to be a dope fiend. Cost too much money. Let me see if I can read her lips. Say something, Lisa. Oh, trying to get a whole thing going on. Okay. See, she's hanging with us, though. She is really hanging with us. Please give her, you guys work on that. I'm just working on keeping y'all entertained and getting some of the crazy that's in me out. And sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you just got to get, you don't just like overreact and get, go ballistic. But, sometimes you get those weird, strange thoughts in your head, and, you got to get someplace and get it out. And sometimes you just need to tell somebody. You just need to tell somebody. Well, you all know you can always come tell Mother Love. You got my phone number. You can't say, well, I couldn't get in touch with you. I have your phone number. You have my phone number. It's 929-477-3088. That's 929-477-3088. And while we're working on, let me just tell you that I can be heard, and you can get this on all media platforms. And okay, you can get this on all the media platforms. You can get us on Facebook at The Mother Love Show, X, that was Twitter, at Mother Love Show, on YouTube at Mother Love Show, on TikTok at The Mother Love Show, on Instagram at Mother Love Show, on Indeed at The Mother Love Show. Sometimes you got to put put the in front of it, and sometimes you don't have to do that. And you can also check us out on these other platforms, on Restream, Spreaker, Spotify, Podchaser, Podcast Addict, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Facebook, Deezer, Geosavin, LinkedIn, Castbox, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible. You can find Mother Love right there. What?
Okay.
Now you came in and just took control of my mouse.
Yes, speak, yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. We'll do it later, because we're almost out of time. We'll have to do it later. We'll reschedule her. I do apologize to my audience. I apologize to Lisa Langlois, and we're gonna have her on the program so she gets her time on the Mother Love Show. And I do apologize. Oh Lord, who is this people calling? Oh wait, no, something went wrong.
I'm hearing everybody now.
Okay, but I can see you.
I can see you.
You can see me?
Yeah.
Okay.
The audio.
I can see you just fine now.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Well, do we have time?
We got 8 minutes. But no. Don't even worry about it because this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna have us a quick little chat right here, and then we're gonna book you again if you're willing to come on. I am so sorry about everything.
I'm so sorry.
Listen. Check.
But this is my first time. I've done a lot of Zooms, but I've never done.
No, okay. We're gonna reschedule you so you get the full time. But tell everybody about you. You're from Canada and you're a prolific actor. Why are you on the camera, Mr. Kennedy? Thank you. He just want to be all up in our Kool-Aid. You know, wait a minute.
He worked hard.
Yo, yeah. Did he? Is that what he told you? He doesn't work hard. He works smart. I don't know what this is down here. Oh, okay. Well, I'm not going to touch it. Now, this is Lisa. You are one of the original 1980-90 Scream Queen. How did you even get involved in that? No, first, before that, tell us about your background. I know you're from Canada.
I actually just fell into the business. I secretly always, as a kid, wanted to be an actor, but at that time, there was no film community in Canada. There was no film industry. I had a dance teacher who said to me, "Oh, you should get into commercials." And I thought, "Oh, great, that'll be a way to pay my way through university," because I wanted to be a journalist, maybe an attorney, and so I got like the student photographer who had taken shots of me to send in pictures to an agent, and I got taken on by this agent, and the agent was like Broadway Danny Rose, right? You know, they were abusive, they weren't nice to me, they never sent me out ever. I never got a commercial audition. And then about 6 months later, I got called in by this top agency. And, the agency was sprawny and they were so nice to me. And I thought, wow, I had no qualms in leaving the other people.
Because they could be so crappy. Oh, my goodness. And no, I know.
And then I booked like about 7 nationals in 6 months. And I still wasn't hooked on it. I just thought it was a great like side hustle to make money to go to university. And then I interviewed to the Ryerson School of Journalism, which is now called Metropolitan University because of Black Lives Matter and the Indigenous. They changed the name this year, so I think that's terrific. But who knew? We didn't know back then. People were just getting educated, right?
Yeah.
And so then I got a film audition, and it was to play opposite Henry Fonda. And I was 18, but they wanted a 14-year-old. I went all the way to the producer, and the producer said, "We really like you, but if we want a real 14-year-old," I didn't care because I was planning on being an actor.
Right.
And so then Claude Chabrol, this very famous French director, he's like the Hitchcock of French cinema. He came into town, and my agent, the casting director, said, "We can't see Lisa. She's only done commercials." So he tried again to get me in, and she wanted to see one of his established actors, but it was for not a big part. And this is not the most ethical thing, but we laugh about it now. He said, "I'll tell you what, I'll let you see the other actor. I'm not going to say who it is because he could be angry right now." Langlois. So I met the director, and he was speaking. He spoke French, and I speak French. And I told him when I sat down that I could speak French to he and his assistant. And, I guess actors say they can do anything, right? I can write.
Yeah, we lie.
Right. So you're an actor too?
Yes, I add that to my resume. I've made 13 movies, and I've been on network television, and all that stuff. I've written a book. I'm a best-selling author.
That's on my bucket list to write a book. I'm just starting to think about it now because everybody in my age group now, they're all writing books. So I have a stack in my house of books written by people I know to read. Anyway, so we were talking a while. Then at one point he turned to his assistant and he said in French, "This is the best person we've seen yet." And I thought, wait, I just told him I can speak French. And then he turned back to me and said, "You're the best person we've seen yet." So I was used to, having to read. But in Europe, people don't read. They just interview you because they get a sense whether you can act or not, or whether you write for the part. So I said, oh, don't you want me to read? He said, do you want to read? Sure, you can read. And he handed me the script. And I just opened it up and I read it. So then he said, I'm going to have to try and talk the producers into using you. So, you'll hear back from us. I can't remember what he said. So in 2 weeks, I hadn't heard anything. But as you know, as an actor, that's the way of the world. And in that time, he'd always wanted to, they offered it to Sissy Spacek, and she turned it down because she said, I'm too old for that part. So bonus for me. And then they went to Jodie Foster, and Jodie Foster was already booked on another French film. So, this is the days when there was no answering machines, if you can remember that.
Oh, yeah.
And I had gone up to visit my dad. My parents were divorced. It was about a 4-hour visit. And, I'd been seeing him. I don't know how long I was there. And I said, I'm just getting the feeling I need to get home. I need to get back to my dance classes. And I walked in the door and the phone was ringing. And I picked it up. It was my agent. He said, where have you been? I've been calling you all night. They want you in Montreal this morning to start shooting. And that was the beginning. Yeah. It was really, really and literally I flew in. They took me from the airport, put me into my wardrobe. And my first scene was with my leading man, the most attractive man I've ever seen in my life, the French.
Oh,
I look into his eyes, and the sun is shining and his eyes are sparkling. And that it was like, wow, I can't believe where I am. Yeah, it took me a couple of years to get over him.
Okay, wait a minute. So were you just co-workers, or did you go co-workers with benefits?
Yeah. I wasn't expecting that at all. And of course, that's a director's dream, right? For the leading lady and leading man to fall in love with one another. I don't know whether he was in love with me or whether it was just very exciting to be, in Canada. He didn't speak English very well. He had a week off and he asked me to take him to New York. And there I was from this small town. I said, sure. So it was like the blind leading the blind. And so I took him to New York and took him to all these Broadway plays. And it was great for me too. It was great. Yeah.
Did you get a chance? Have you worked with him since then?
No, I haven't had the opportunity, but every time I go to Paris, I see him. We're still friends. He ended up marrying a very famous French actress, Jeanette Renaud, and they had a child, and she's working a lot, even though she's my age, and it's so interesting to see somebody after all these years, and I hope to see him again. Like maybe I get to see him like every 10 years. And he's got a twin brother too that I got to know when I stayed. I did a second film with this producer, the same director in French. And so that actually for me is one of my favorite films, because I got to spend 6 weeks in Paris, and they actually dress you in real period clothing.
Oh, wow.
Country that you go to this wardrobe place and it's all real stuff. And this was a movie that took place like in the 20s. Like they had all the real stuff. And my leading lady was Isabelle Huppert, and she's like the Meryl Streep of France.
Oh,
so I was so young, I didn't realize how fortunate I was.
To get a part that Sissy Spacek turned down and Jodie Foster was already booked. That's really saying something, Lisa. Don't play that down.
An old studio actor friend that he's probably in his 80s now, and he said, Lisa, you were just destined to become an actor.
Right. See,
like the way it came about. And they wanted me to stay in France, because they said I probably could have had a career, even though I had an accent. I didn't have a French accent, but I was too afraid. I was 18 years old from a small town, and I was just too afraid,
Was it
let
me ask, were you more afraid of the success or of the failure?
Later on, I became afraid of success, and I sabotaged myself. I can't tell you how many times the huge, again, faded opportunities I had that I sabotaged myself. And I didn't find out till, God, I must have been in my 40s going to therapy, where she said, you have a fear of success. Yeah.
It got I mean, how would you sabotage yourself? Because, and I'm so glad that you're being, that you're sharing that with us, because so many people in this business do not want to share their failures. And, they act like, if I tell you that, I did this or I did that, or I said this or I said that, that's going to be the be all, end all, do all of it. And then they are terrified. I have seen a lot of these actors terrified.
You don't even know you're terrified. So I did it several ways. I would go back to school a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It took me 10 years to finish my degree, but I would go back to school, which was in Canada. I'd go back to university.
Mm-hmm.
I would follow my documentary filmmaker around the world instead of being available for auditions. I wouldn't.
So did you get your degree in journalism?
No, I got it. I got my BA in French.
Oh, okay.
I tried to get a double honors, like French and English, but by that time I moved to the States and I didn't have time to be in Canada,
Mm-hmm.
But and then there were other things where I wouldn't spend the time necessary to be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the three ways, like following my documentary filmmaker around the world, because in those days we didn't have Zoom auditions,
right?
Tapes and stuff like that,
right?
Yeah, and going back to school, I just made myself unavailable. Yeah, and I'm okay about it, because I probably there are aspects of my life that I really like. I think I sabotaged myself because I thought two things. I never thought I could have a successful relationship and family and be a good mom and have that kind of success. And I also sabotaged myself because when I worked with these huge stars, I would see the kind of life they had. That, like Tony Curtis, like we were shooting in the desert. Like the Bedouins knew who he was.
Wait a minute, Tony. Oh, my God, I'm having a flashback. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I thought you were going to say I'm having a hot flash.
Oh no, oh no. Yeah, it would have been a hot flash if it was Tony Curtis in front of me. And I don't get easily starstruck. But he was, everybody wanted to marry Tony Curtis.
He was a movie star.
Yes, he was a movie star. He was a movie star.
And he wasn't just good looking and talented at acting. Mm-hmm. Like he was he had his pilot's license. And he was an artist.
Oh yeah.
Sculptor, and he swam, and he was very articulate when he talked, and he was an equestrian.
Wait, hold on, Lisa. Mr. Kennedy, please.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get your attention. Okay. So go ahead.
So he had all these other talents, but like artists normally all are multi-talented. But of everybody in my career, there's maybe about 5 people on my hand that I can say that they were the highlights of my career, that I felt that, yes, because I've always treated my career, I have no control over how.
But no, you can't change that.
Okay.
It went away on her end. Not on yours.
Wait a minute, Lisa?
Yes.
Oh, I thought I had lost the audio.
You got the audio.
I got the audio. I don't have the picture now. I don't know what the deal is. We had audio and video. We were doing real well, and now you just get to see my smiling face. So
okay. So I there's just I've always because I have no control over the success of my career.
Oh, okay. Wait, here it is, Kennedy. Look. Wait, hold on, Lisa. Oh. Can you? Okay, can you turn it off? There she is. I can see it, but I don't know where that's coming from.
Are we in a sitcom?
You would think we are. I feel like I'm in sitcom hell.
It went away again.
Oh my goodness.
When I clicked off of it, try to get it to go away. Give her a chance to call back, and then just.
Are you still there, Lisa? Oh, there she is.
Now click. Yes, click on.
Oh, we went dead there. Went dead. Oh, I like your background now. It's not.
Thank you.
Before you had a green.
Wait a minute, Kennedy, please.
Kennedy, please.
Please. Thank you, Lisa.
S'il vous plaît.
Jeez
wait a minute.
Louise.
I don't understand why. Okay,
Okay,
hold on.
but if
Wait
you
a
did
minute.
that,
Hold on.
there you go.
Now we got
Okay.
This is the first time we've had split screen.
No, we want to.
Okay, but both of you, and they can hear you.
But
You can hear one another.
Sit up
now.
a little bit because I only got you from here up. There you go.
Perfect.
Let me
There
move my
you go.
camera.
Okay, there we go. So we got to rock.
Now we've got split screen. We got the
Yes.
audio, video in the background.
And we
I
working
guess
with.
this is what you call a rehearsal.
Yeah. No, you would think that I just started doing this like yesterday. Oh my God, you know what it is? Always something. You know what they say? The show must go on.
That's right.
We keep trying to see. You know what? When did you know that this is what you were going to stick with? Because you talked about being a journalist or maybe an attorney.
After I did my first film.
Oh, and you got paid.
Yeah,
for
I
it.
didn't really care about doing commercials.
Mhm.
But after I did my first film, yeah, that's when I really liked it. And then I did my second film in Europe. And then when I did my first studio picture in LA and they were asking me to audition for General Hospital, and it was this really ridiculous Paramount picture, I questioned whether I wanted to do it anymore. And I remember Claude Chabrol saying to me, you got to watch, because I was on my way back from the film I did with Tony Curtis, and he didn't have time to meet with me, but we talked on the phone. He was in Paris and I stopped over in Paris, and I told him, and he said, you got to watch who you work with. He said, it'll make you hate your craft. And that's what happened.
And it does happen. And being on the outside, even though I'm in the entertainment industry, I look at it because I love being entertained. I love live performances. I love television. I love movies. I like the whole process. I love going to the theater, and people are right. They say don't meet celebrities that you like, because some of them are crappy as all get out. And I'm thinking, well, I'm in the business. They're not gonna be crappy to me. And I watched it change. I talked to several people, when I was out there, watching their work and listening to their music and get to meet them up close. And a lot of them are not like we think they are.
That's right.
I found out that most comedians,
are
the
mean.
majority of comedians are
mean.
What'd you say?
Mean.
They're mean and they're surly. And
right.
And men
they have a personality disorder too.
Yes, they do. And and I'm like, I'm not the one. I'm not the one to take it out on. And because I have I had to do this psychological test for something I was getting ready to do. And oh, listen, I've been in therapy. I was in therapy since I was 14 years old.
Oh,
and I tell people
like,
all the time, if anybody need therapy, it's women and Black people. So you
could be a comic. You're very
funny. I did stand up for 15 years.
That's fabulous. That is so abusive. And for a woman, it's even worse for women in stand-up. It's just and to be a Black woman, even worse.
But see, wait a minute. And then I told him I'm not Black. I said, I know y'all think I'm a big Black woman up here. And first of all, I ain't big, I'm Zoftic.
That's right. Well, I just watched the History of Comedy, and they talked about how hard they talked about how hard it was to get in as a white woman,
right?
Like the early days of Joan Rivers and Carol Burnett, and then they showed the migration, how hard it was for Black women. And then for finding Black women to just be able to talk about their own story instead of doing white comedy. You know what I mean?
Because comedy, what I did find out is the best comics come from the deepest pain. And that's a way for us.
Yeah, that's why. It's same with actors. Actors are born. Like I saw this really great, I tell this to people all the time. I saw this documentary on Marlon Brando.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jack Parr, he was interviewing him. And so he was showing him around, Marlon Brando was showing him around his wonderful house. It's early in his career, he's young. And then they sit down with his father to have an interview. And he says, well, what do you think about your son? And his father, without missing a beat, says, well, first of all, I don't think very much of his acting. And the look of pain on Marlon Brando's face we've only ever seen it twice. And it's where he said, I could have been a Contender
Oh,
or
yeah.
Stella.
So-
Stella. It was that. It was wrenching with pain, and you go, and that's what Elia Kazan was trying to talk about, is that actors
The
are
director.
born out of this pain.
Right. And that's what it is. I mean, and when you can laugh at your pain, and most of us laugh to keep from crying. I didn't even think that I was funny, and I found out I wasn't the funniest one in my family. We should have been the first family of comedy. Everybody was hilarious, and I told them
It's a learned thing. Like the same with my family.
and all I did was tell the stories about what was going on. I tell people all the time, I'm not that clever to be able to make this crazy up. I'm not that clever. Yeah, I wish I were, but I'm not. And people would always laugh, and I would say, "Why y'all laughing at me?" They said, "We're not laughing at you. We're laughing at the way that you're telling the story."
That's
so
right.
I never really looked at myself like a comic. What's his name? Oh, call his name. One of the famous. I think it was it Will Rogers? He was the philosopher. He told.
That's right. Yeah.
He said, "I didn't have to be a comedian. I was a great storyteller."
Wow.
You tell your stories, and my head got this big. It was all swollen up, big giant like that. I had to go get me 2 wigs to put on my head. It got so big. And it was very difficult. And a lot of the majority of them, I can't even think of one male comic that I was ever on a bill with. Not one of them ever gave me any support.
That's right.
Well, why you gotta be here? Shouldn't you have your fat ass at home feeding your husband some? I was like, oh, is that?
Oh man, that is so.
Oh, is that the kind of party it's gonna be? I said, yeah, I already fed my fat ass. My fat ass already fed my husband. Now who gonna come home and cook for you? Now tell me that. Oh, and then
can you imagine if you opened your monologue with that?
I did. Oh
no, but I'm saying after, like when you opened for that person who said that.
Oh,
I was opened and made a joke out of that.
I was the MC. I'm gonna be the first one they see. I'm gonna go in between every act. Now you want to play that with me? Okay, fine. First thing I get out, I walk out on stage. And I used to be a really large woman. I lost 111 pounds. And,
wow.
Yeah. And so and I would get up on the stage, and my opening line was I would stand there, and I'm standing in front of the mic. And this is my mic. I stand in front of the mic. Look around the room. I said, I know it's going to be a minute. I said, I'm just waiting for the rest of my ass to come up here and join me.
That is so funny.
They on the floor. I could tell better fat jokes than anybody.
And that's the evolution too. Like at first, they only thought you could be funny if you're a fat woman.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really evolved. But I really liked it was the CNN, documentary, The History of Comedy, and I learned a lot. But I read Mike Myers' book, and he was saying he wasn't the funniest one in his family. Like you, he said, my brother was a lot funnier than me. But we learned to be funny in our family, and same with us. Like if you couldn't laugh in our family about, well, it was so dysfunctional, right? It was your way of coping. Like stuff would happen. It was like, oh, so painful. And so you have that initial trauma, and then you laugh about it later on. But yeah,
it could be. It could have been brutal, and I've seen the stand-up industry, try to decimate people's careers. You're gonna do it this way. I used to could not get booked because they said I was too blue, and I said I'm not blue. I'm burnt sienna. I told you I ain't blue. I'm not black. I'm not.
But what does that mean? What does that mean? You're too blue. What does that mean?
That I use profanity.
Oh,
but I wasn't like
are you saying that like Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy are the only ones who could be blue?
Yeah,
I get it. Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh. That and the big thing, and we're
so it was sexist then. Okay.
Oh, very sexist. Are you kidding me? And that gave me a lot of wherewithal, because I never even thought about ever going into that and doing that to make money. I did it for the free drugs and or alcohol and the free food. You got a great laugh. I want to know how with this bright light, see, I know you're a damn good actor, because all this bright light around you have to have that around to even be able to do a horror movie. How did you fall into that genre and become an 80, 90 screen?
Because it was the only work in Canada, okay? Low budget horror movies. And here I'd started out in France with a French director, and it was just, and so, I did several, but the one that made me move away was in the wintertime, there's no work. And so there was one film being directed that was being shot in all of Canada. Okay. And great director, Robert Klaus, who directed Enter the Dragon. And they would always bring up Americans and that had names and pay them like a ton of money. And meanwhile, like we would be paid like scale. Like it was the reverse. It was like, it was like we were the cotton pickers, right? So Scatman Crothers, they bring him up. So those are the highlights, to be around those kind of people. But it was a movie about giant rats, and it was dogs dressed up in rat costumes. And I thought, I have to move to the United States. So, and then
wait a minute. So you're in a horror movie with big rats that they put dogs in rat costumes. Okay.
Yes. And one of the dogs had a heart attack from wearing the costume. So anyway,
wait a minute.
This is the irony. This is the irony for you.
Oh no.
My mother raised five of us. My mother raised five of us, and we didn't always have the best accommodations.
Wait a minute.
Some of our accommodations.
Wait, you're sideways. I don't want to have to turn my head this way.
Oh, so okay. Some of our there was some times where we lived in houses that had rats, and so for years I had nightmares about rats.
Okay, wait a minute. I don't know what happened to your camera, but your head is sideways. Can you rotate? Okay, rotate the camera so that you're sitting straight up. I don't know what the deal is.
Is that better?
Nope, you're still sideways. You look funny.
I didn't touch anything. Is this
I didn't either. See, that's like the
Saturday Night Live. Am I on Saturday Night Live? Am I being punked?
No, this is Afternoon with Love. Crazy love. That's what this is. I mean, I've never done an interview with somebody whose head was sideways, and I didn't touch anything either. But that's all right. What did we just say? The show must go on. Almost that. Yeah, that's better. But I know they're gonna think something's wrong with us when they see this video. But there is something wrong with. Yeah, you do, and I thank you for that. That's why I was asking, with all this bright light that you have around you, how do you get prepared for a horror movie? See, can you hear me?
Oh, it's just like cowboys and Indians. You pretend like, when you're a kid, you can like imagine anything and scream about it or laugh about it, or that you just get into like your kid mode. Like it's pretend time. Yeah.
And that's what acting is. And when you guys make it,
and having some trauma in your childhood.
Oh, absolutely. When they go, where's the deepest pain? I was like, I don't think I want to go to the deep pain like that. I think, no, I don't need to be reiterating that. And then it's and I'm already a waterhead. I am a cry. I cry when I'm happy. I don't cry when I'm mad, because I'm mad and I ain't wasting tears on no, But I hear the stories, and I they just move me, and I wear my feelings on my sleeve. So and I have to get it out.
I do too, and that's how kind of I judge actors is, do I feel moved by them? Like when I'm watching their performance, can I forget who it is on screen, and I'm moved by them?
And that's what they say they want. They want to get an emotional, some emotion from your audience. They don't care if you're mad, angry, happy, sad, questioning, whatever, but walk out of there thinking something that you didn't think about before you came in to see that performance. And right. I can look at people and know them, and I can watch them on TV and watch them in movies, and I enjoy the work, and it's just really cool. When we were talking about how don't meet the people that you like in the industry, don't meet your idol, and I have to say I had the honor and privilege of meeting some very, very high profile entertainers, community leaders. I got to spend, I tell this story all the time. I got to spend, I don't know how, we were there until the custodian came and said, okay, y'all got to leave. It's dark outside. And we were on a live morning show with Dr. Maya Angelou, and she sat there with me. Yeah. I didn't get that until after I left. Until after we were told. I didn't get none of that part. And we were talking on the set, and then I didn't even know she was still there. And she said, "Oh, I've been waiting to sit and talk with you. I'd like to chat with you, get to know a little more about you." And I'm like, "Oh, that is like so cool." And I told her I had read her book, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Because she didn't speak till she was like 5 or 6 years old. She was a kid. She didn't speak. But when the caged bird started singing, you couldn't stop her. And the fact that she was giving me that kind of time. And I learned so many lessons from her. I told you I'm a waterhead. She said to me, she said, "I'm going to tell you this, child. People don't care what you say. People don't care what you do. They won't remember what you do. They don't remember what you said. They will remember how you made them feel." And I'm talking about spot on, spot on, spot on. That's why I'm like, you can't come at what I do from, like from this pretend kind of background, and when people, and I don't know how I'm going to affect somebody. I remember I went to a school, I was talking to these kids. It was like, I'm like in middle school, like maybe 12 to 14, I have a middle school that I don't know. And I was asking them, what did they want to be when they grew up and became, because it's coming real fast. And I got to this one young lady, and she said, I said, "So what do you want to be when you grow up?" She said, "Oh, mother love, I don't think I'm gonna grow up. I done buried 6 of my friends, and I'm only 15 years old. I'm planning for my funeral." I had to get up and leave the room because you could have. She just bowled me over. I literally had to get up and leave the room and get that out to be able to come back in. Fast forward many years later, I don't remember who that child is. I wouldn't know if she, I just didn't. And I was at an expo. You know how when you go to the expos, because you're going to one, you're having one too. When is yours coming up? We'll tell my story later.
March. April 26th to the 28th.
Okay, so tell us about that expo. What's going on?
Well, that is the premier horror convention of everywhere. So I've always wanted to go. In fact, I'd hear about it and people say, you should get an autograph agent, a convention agent. And I'd say, well, how do you do that? And again, just like I fell into acting, it just came my way. And so it's like, I never wanted to do these shows because I thought, oh, is it just tragic? But I did one.
Why'd you say, is it just tragic?
Well, it's kind of like, is it tragic? Is it on the level of doing dinner theater? Like it's the sunset of your career, right? But then I tried doing one, and all these fans, they're so sweet, and they get dressed up in horror outfits. Like I like that. I've done like I've done like 3 conventions that were horror, and then I did the Hollywood show. And the ones I like the best are the horror ones because people get dressed up in the horror costumes, and some of them get dressed up as your character.
Right, that's like Comic-Con. They come to Comic-Con dressed up like that.
Yes.
And I've never been to Comic-Con, and I'm not a fan of horror movies because I told you I watched a movie like an audience member. I read The Exorcist. Yeah. I read the book first, and then I said, I didn't read. I had to read the book in the daytime. I could not read it at night. That's how scary.
The book
is real scary. The book was real scary, and I couldn't watch it. I couldn't, read it at night, and because I have very, very vivid dreams. And so anyway, I said I can go to the movies. I can see They had to run. I thought I was gonna run out that theater when her head spent around. I could see it in my brain, but I couldn't imagine them being able to do that in a horror movie, and that was scary. See, and I get scared. Like my son them tried to get me to watch like Saw and the Freddy Krueger movies, and I'll say what and see all that stuff. That's just too much for me. I'm be all up into it, screaming and hollering. I'm like, That's why I go to the movies with Black people. Or women. I don't go to movies with women. I don't go to movies with Black people because they don't know how to shut up. They wrote the movie. They shot the movie. Women want to say, I would have told him so and so and such and such and so. I'm like, can I watch the movie?
Yeah, I want to say to those people, we're not in your living room. We're in a theater, and we paid to watch this. You're not in your living room.
And you're not an actor. Can you just be quiet? I mean, they will. I had to go see Waiting to. I didn't really see all of Waiting to Exhale until the tape came out, and I went with 3 different groups of women. That's why I said I'm not going to go with. I don't go to the movies with women, and we were all of different ethnic backgrounds. I said, oh, this will be cool because I'm the only black chick, and I'm not going to talk to them. They babbled. They was taking notes. They was changing the script. I said, oh my. Some people just can't go to the movies with. And the ones you really don't want to go to the movies with is the ones that already saw the movie, but they want to go see it again with you, but then they want to tell you what happened. I was like,
yeah,
no.
like, and the people that are giving you a running commentary, I just can't go with them. Or the people that are on their phones, and so the light, I can just see it in the corner of my eye, and I just want to say, can you just take that outside?
Please. So now back to the horror expo. So now, are you coming dressed up? And I know that you got a merch table because that's what they do. You sign the autograph, you have your T-shirts, your books, whatever you merchandising out there. And this is when you know they are truly fans because they will buy all your merchandise. They will.
It's so funny you said that because I was thinking of just not bringing my T-shirts because I'm crossing the border. I'm crossing the border, so it's going to be a big deal. And I was thinking of just having giving them the address for the website where they can order themselves, because I'm crossing the border and I'll probably have to pay all these import taxes.
Because it's in Canada.
No, it's in New Jersey and I'm in Canada, so I'd be going down that way.
Oh, so you'll be coming from Canada to go to New Jersey.
Yes, and so if I bring T-shirts, they're probably going to tax me import taxes.
Well, however you got to get them to buy it, however you got to get them, put them on, and everybody does everything on the internet.
Yeah.
And speaking of doing everything, what is your take on artificial intelligence and how it's going to change how actors, people in the industry as a whole, how it will help or hurt? What are your thoughts? Because they can make anything. They can say, make me a Jabba the Hutt, with a head like Yoda, and AI will tell you how to do it. You don't even have to think anymore. What's your take on it?
We're going to lose work. And it's like every time there's been some kind of industrial revolution of some sort, people have lost work. I mean, the car came along, so there were no horses and buggies, and it's going to happen. And that's in one way I'm glad I'm not starting out with my career, because I've had a career where I didn't have that threat of artificial intelligence. Mm-hmm. And I feel sorry for the younger people. I mean, because even if we're protected by our image so that we get paid for them using artificial intelligence, means we're not getting to do our craft. And I can understand them using it, say that, they want to go to they'll save so much money in being able to work your avatar or whatever, they create 24 hours and they don't have to worry about the weather or anything. Right. And the actor for their look can be compensated, but then you just don't get to do your craft. Right.
Right. And that's when I look at it, I'm concerned because everybody's like AI. We're gonna be able to do all of this, digitize everything. But I don't think a lot of the studios realize that they're gonna hurt too. I mean, they didn't think that we were gonna stay on strike that long. They didn't. They did not. They didn't. Oh, and I remember one of some kind of way, I guess he had a hot mic on someplace, and they were trying to explain their side of what was going on and why they didn't feel like, well, actors don't need to be protected. We want to be able to have control over your name, image, and likeness, whatever media, whether known, unknown, throughout all perpetuity in the universe. First time I saw that, I didn't even know what the heck it meant, but I knew it wasn't right. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And so that's why we were out there on strike and the Writers Guild, because without us, you really aren't going to have anything. And if you want to do that way, just make sure that you have to cut a chick a check. That's what you got to do. That's what, and they didn't want to do that. And this executive said, oh, in a few weeks after they can't pay their house note and can't pay their rent, they can't buy food and their kids can't go to school, they'll buckle down, they'll bite the bullet. And they did not expect it to happen. They
Yeah.
did not understand how the other entertainers that stood with us. I couldn't go on a picket line because I have a compromised immune system, but they know I was right there with them. And when we stand together in uniformity, we can get things done. That's what they were just trying to break the union, and then when SAG-AFTRA merged together, they just thought we had lost what's left of our mind. Oh no, y'all done went crazy. Oh, now you want to, and why not? You want to make all the big bucks. You want to get all the money. You want to get all the money from the advertising. Then you want to stream it, and then you don't want to pay the actors who are doing. That's why so many of these. See, I'm not too fearful about the young actors and the people behind us and our grandkids, because these kids are smart. They're making movies on their cell phone. You get the little cell phone, they can make a whole big giant movie and don't have to pay anybody. The same thing with the music. These young kids are making their own music, and I think it's gonna when you say outgrow, it's gonna outgrow the record industry, because you can digitize everything. And I just don't want us to shoot ourselves in the foot or both feet because of the greed, and because it's enough for everybody. Now you were saying earlier that with the festival, with the horror festival coming up in New Jersey, where is it going to be in New Jersey?
It's I can't remember the name of the place because oh my God.
I gotta remember. They could Google it.
It's like a town that I haven't heard of, but of course I'm not from New Jersey.
Parsippany.
But you can Google Chiller and you can see where it is, or maybe Kennedy can Google it and tell us, and I'll say that's where it is.
Well, listen, whatever he's doing, let him keep doing it. And so now you stepped away from the acting world for a while. Can you tell me what that was like, and what was your reason?
So my son got hit by an SUV, and he had 20 surgeries over 10 years. And I first stepped away.
Wait, your son got hit by an SUV?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. How old was he?
7.
Oh my God. Lisa.
I first stepped away when he was born, thinking that I was going to go to work the next day. And then I thought, wait, you're going to hire someone else to be his mother? You're going to, and so I thought, no. And probably I came to that realization because, I had the single mom who couldn't raise me, and I was always being shipped off to different relatives all the time. So it was really healing for me to be able to take my son to take my son to school and be there for him all the time, because I didn't get that. Mm-hmm. And then when my son got hit by an SUV, and he had 20 surgeries over 10 years, and it's just going to trial now. Yeah. Because when he was hit, the guy who hit him was driving a brand new Audi SUV, and my son at the time, he went to school with this little boy who they lived across the street from us, and his father was a very well-known judge, and we asked who he should go to, who we should have take on our case, and he recommended Gary Dordick, who even had won against Disneyland. So I met with him, and he took us on, and then the moment he found out that the guy who was driving was only carrying the legal minimum in California, which, by the way, in 2008 was $15,000, and it's still $15,000, the legal liability insurance in California. Yep. He was dropped, and I happened to.
He was dropped from the insurance company?
No, my son was dropped by Gary Dordick.
By the attorney, because he only had liability insurance.
Because the liability insurance was only $15,000, and the ice cream truck that was also involved had no insurance. And my son's father, who was also one of the liable parties, because he let my son cross the street by himself at 7 while he was on the cell phone taking a call. Nobody does these things on purpose. It was all happened all at once.
That's why they call it accidents.
Right. So I, by chance, met this attorney, and I was telling him about I was in his office to do something, and I saw these things on the wall, these LA Times articles like Litigator of the Year and top, award claim, and I told him about my son. He said, I'll take your son on. He said, I've got a soft place in my heart for single moms, because I had a single mom.
Mhm.
So he said, just wait till he's 19, because in California, your son has till he's 19 to make a claim. And by then, the guy who hit him hopefully will have accumulated assets. So we did wait, and he does have assets, but he's moved to New York. So it could be, it might be hard to collect if we win, because he could pull a Giuliani and, claim bankruptcy. But I just want my son to feel that he's had his day in court. It's
Mhm.
taken a big chunk of my life to go through all those surgeries, because it was always surgery, wheelchair, crutches, repeat. And but on one hand, I'm not sorry about it, because it was healing again,
Mhm.
that I could be there for my son. Because my mother, growing up, like, I had to go to the doctor and the dentist by myself as a child. She just had to work. There was no daycare in those years. So it was healing for me, but it's been really hard, because people don't understand. There's a lot of homeless people because they have these reversals in fortune, because they had a big accident or something, and their medical. Like, I try and explain to people that when my son was hit, this is very unnatural. That the first thing that went through my mind is, oh, thank God I have insurance and his father has insurance. And then, even though we had two insurances, okay, a
Mhm.
primary and a secondary, after the 20 surgeries, it was still $67,000 out of pocket that they didn't cover. And that's not counting my loss of time at work,
Mhm.
and all the administration I did, because, they bounced things back at least twice. I mean, after the first surgery, 50 claims came back in the mailbox on the first surgery. And you're constantly in this state of fighting with these people. And you're constantly, every time you go, oh, what's this going to cost? And
Mhm.
that's what I have to say. Like, the health like care in Canada is not perfect, especially after COVID, because so many people got burnt out. So everywhere it's understaffed. It's not perfect, but healthcare in the United States is great if you have a lot of money.
Right.
But I think that Obamacare really helped. And when people try and argue with me about Obamacare, I go, let me tell you my experience.
Mhm.
That it was actually an upgrade for me. That my insurance rates went down and I got a better provider. And then they stop arguing with me, because it's like, wait, how do you argue that? How do
You
you?
can't.
Yeah, and then I'm going to say, and if it's so great, yeah, it is great if you're rich, but it was $67,000 out of pocket, and this is 2008, when I wasn't making enough money through SAG, because I wasn't working. My
Mhm.
premiums every month were $750, and I
And
just put
that,
it all on my credit card,
oh,
and so
I
that's
mean,
not so great. It's great if
yeah.
you're rich. It's great if you're rich, but if you're not, and you have to go to these state hospitals or have HMOs where their job is to keep you not well, because
Mhm.
they have too many people, and they're gatekeepers, and you can't get to specialists. That's not great healthcare. And I was wondering, when I first moved to the States, why I would see people that were sick and they weren't going to the doctor. And I would think, why don't you just go to the doctor if you're not feeling well? And then I learned that you, on your way in, they're asking you for your credit card. I've never been
Right.
asked for my credit card in my life here.
Right.
And I never saw a bill in my life here. I've never seen a bill. You just come
You
with
never
your
got.
healthcare card, and you can go to any doctor, you can go to any hospital, because that was a thing too. Oh, is he okay? Oh, what hospital will take our healthcare? That was the second thing. Those are
Yeah.
not natural things to be thinking as a caring
No.
parent.
No. All you can think about, and ought to be thinking about, is getting your child well and keeping yourself well.
Well,
It is. People don't even understand, what caretakers go through. Yes, and I know you're his mother, and nobody bargains to have a sick child at all. But you stay in there and you do the work. And some people will just walk away from a sick child. They'll put them in the system because they get too overwhelming. It gets too overwhelming. And I come from a long line of social workers, and to see and hear the horror stories that they were telling and sharing about, how horrible these these families are treating their children. And you would think with all the news, you would think that we could do better than that. And when you talked about, the Affordable Care Act, now people say, this is let you know how ignorant some people are. You telling me Affordable Care Act, and they realize, okay, I got the access to the Affordable Care Act. I can go to a doctor. I can go see who it is.
Wait, now the volume has gone down. Just a second. I plugged it myself in.
Okay, I've lost half of the bottom half of your face.
It's because I was going out of I was.
Oh, okay.
I mean, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. Yes,
well, your volume has gone down, but
okay, whatever.
There.
If we can. Yes, I can.
Okay, I can hear you too. Not as well as before, but yeah. Tell me about the Affordable Care Act. I call it Obamacare because I want him to have credit.
Right, and he gets credit, and this is why how some people are so ignorant, because they will believe all this crazy stuff. What's that feedback? Okay, maybe turn me down. Anyway, they would say, "Oh yeah, my health care got better. I can go to the doctor. It's been a good thing." And then people say, "Well, that's Obamacare. You know that." No, it's not. Don't. But soon as these people in these sitcoms get to talking crazy and saying, "Well, no, I got the Affordable Care Act." Yes, that's Obamacare. That's Obamacare. And then it's like, oh well, maybe and people just are angry sometimes for no reason. That's why we need this outlet of entertainment. Can you hear the feedback?
Now I can't hear you at all.
Oh,
I can't hear you.
Is that better? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, and I got feedback. This has been a crazy day. So, when you went back, what did you want to do when you went back to acting? So, wait a minute, before that, how's your son doing?
He has a lot of PTSD, and speaking of Freddy Krueger, his foot looks like Freddy Krueger's foot.
Oh my God!
He only really started to do really well when he just didn't want to have any cosmetic surgery anymore. He just wanted to have and so his went up, and he'll be a lot better when we finish this trial, because we're just reliving, and I'm reliving it. Because you have to produce all these documents and photos and videos, and you relive it. And he's thinking of becoming a personal injury attorney. He said, "Mom, this is getting delayed so much, because we started the trial like 2 years ago, and it's just been delayed again till 2025." And he said, I could have become a lawyer by now, but he wants to become a lawyer to give back. Anyway, I just can't believe that the legal minimum in California is still $15,000. That doesn't even cover one surgery.
And he's had 20.
Yeah. So anyway, and then, do you remember Terms of Endearment?
Yes.
Remember that scene with Shirley MacLaine and Deborah Winger, her daughter, her painkiller medication is running out, so she starts feeling pain, and so Shirley MacLaine runs over to the nurse's station, and there's nobody there, and she starts running around and saying, "My daughter needs her pain medication. It's time," and nobody's paying attention. She's running and screaming. I realized, because I became that person, because it does start wearing off about 15 minutes before it's time. So when it's time, because they can't give it to you beforehand, you want it right then and there. And I thought she got it right. And the other thing she got right is when I did The Slugger's Wife, the hairdresser was the same hairdresser who was on Terms of Endearment with Shirley MacLaine. And Shirley MacLaine wanted to let her hair, the roots go in and just let herself go. And the hairdresser said, no, she's that kind of character that would always keep herself groomed. And Shirley MacLaine said, no, she wouldn't. Not when that's happening with her daughter.
No.
And she got that right too, because I just gave up too. Because you when you have any time at all, you're trying to sleep. And so I had that I give up look too that Shirley MacLaine had. Yeah, she got it right.
And I've seen people, you know, who've gone through that kind of horrific, and the one thing you don't need to worry about is making take it, and you do neglect yourself. And I also know that as a caregiver, you have to take care of you first, and you got to get some respite care. Have somebody to come in and stand in there with you, so you could go take a shower, you can go get a nap, you know. But then when you focusing on your child, you do have a tendency to say, okay, I'm not that important. But if I'm not well, my mind isn't clear, I can't take effective care of you because I'm focusing on, you. So I gotta take care of me. You know, when you're on an airplane and they say when the mask comes down,
take it first.
And because if we're not breathing, how you gonna help somebody else to breathe? So, and self-preservation is the first law of nature, and you got to take care of you. So, have you learned through the years going through this how important that is for you?
Evidently not, because I've in the last 3 years become the caregiver for my mother, who's about to be 95.
Wow!
And I've had to just in the last couple of months, because I came down with shingles, to say, it's your body shutting you down, Lisa. You gotta stop it. You gotta put yourself first.
You got to take care of yourself first. And being a caretaker, now you're a caretaker for two. So that's a double load on you besides what the one that you carry for you.
People aren't prepared for what it takes to be a caregiver for our parents. They have no idea how to navigate the system. They have no idea of the time it takes, how much money it costs. It's, yeah.
And you after when they happen, you're not prepared for that. This was really, and people have a hard time, and him being so young. So he's lived with this trauma the majority of his life.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this.
But you know what? At least I'm not in Palestine.
Now can you just, and that part, for all the stuff that's going on, I don't even know. It's just like these warmongers just gotta have war. You just gotta have conflict. I mean, you're not going to live forever. And is this what you want to be remembered for? Bombing solving countries because they want to be free. You just want to be a dictator. And then we got this idiot 46 over here, and I don't know why we can get money that, and I know we gotta have allies. I understand that. We're a divided house, and a divided house cannot stand. We have to come to a sense of unity, and you can't, in my head, you can't say, okay, we want to send billions more to Ukraine, we want to send billions over to Israel, we want to send $1 billion to Taiwan. I didn't even know Taiwan was on the spectrum. They're talking about $1 trillion, but we can't get the school system together here. We can't get the adequate healthcare system here. So that doesn't,
like the adequate healthcare system. I think Canada needs to stop comparing themselves to the United States with their healthcare system.
Oh, please
comparing
don't
themselves
do
to
that.
France
Don't do
and Scandinavia that have the really great healthcare systems, and same with the United States. But the healthcare lobbyists are so strong that they make everybody believe that they can't afford healthcare in the United States. They make everybody believe that in Canada people are dying to wait for doctors, and they, not 80% of Americans don't have passports. So if they haven't traveled to see how other countries work, they're going to believe their government or the lobbyists who are lobbying for big pharma or the insurance companies. They're going to believe them. And I don't know what it's going to take to turn it around. I mean, I congratulate Biden for bringing down the cost of insulin to be affordable. Like it's $30 now, as opposed to what was it, $600? And people had to choose between food and their insulin.
or your light bill and your insulin. Or it was just crazy. That's why I believe that we need to have universal health care. Everybody's not going to go to the doctor, and there are going to still be people who will take care of themselves so that they don't have to go to the doctor. So one of the things I do is I'm an advocate for the diabetes community. And when you think about it, it's a $378 billion industry a year. Ain't nowhere in the world they want to cure diabetes. They want you to manage diabetes. They don't want to cure cancer. They want you to manage it. And then they go, okay, everybody got a mental health issue, and the pharmaceutical companies and the doctors are turning people into drug addicts, getting them hooked on them painkillers. Like they didn't know that was going to happen. Really.
Pretty bad.
People have to be more focused and more educated about their health. And we don't. We think we can smoke and drink and have all these bad habits and everything. As soon as something go wrong, you want to the doctor, go, please fix me. But they're not telling you to quit smoking so you can get lung cancer. Okay, so you can get lung cancer, now you got throat cancer. Same thing. You got to get past your throat to get to your lungs. Yours just stopped, and then you want them to fix you. What? And I remember, having, and I'm just grateful to be an advocate in the healthcare industry, because you have to be. But they'll tell you all kinds of stuff, and they keep people terrified. And you can't afford this. It's a cycle. It's a cycle, and we see it. And some people are gonna get it, and some people are not gonna. There's nothing we can do about that. So are you still in Canada, or have you come back to the States?
Well, when my mother passes away, I'd like to move back so I can be in the same city as my son.
So that's got to be hard on you too, emotionally.
It's really hard. It's really hard. It's really, really hard.
Do you have a quiet place?
Although, what I do love about Toronto is I love that I can take the subway like at 11 o'clock, midnight. I love that I don't have to worry about if something happens with my health care. I love that there's two pensions. There's like a Social Security, but they have this other thing called the old age pension, and it's like kind of everybody gets it, and it you don't have to have paid into it. It's out of 40 years. So if you've only lived in Canada 1 year as an immigrant, you'll get 1 out of 40. But you can, if you've lived here 20 years, you'll get half, or the whole pension if you've lived here for 40 years. It's like close to $700, and that's in addition to your Social Security, which is called the Canada pension here. So there, those are things that I really like. I like that we're not always on the verge of war here. I like that I like that there's gun control. I really do. I like that there's enough police per capita. Yeah, mostly I feel safer here as a woman.
Maybe the U.S. ought to be looking at Canada and picking up some of you guys better habits than we do here. I mean, when you think it's more important for because we got the Second Amendment that you need to have an arsenal, there's no reason on the planet for a regular citizen to have an AK-47, these big super duper machine guns with magazines in that can shoot 300 times. The military will tell you those, and the police say those weapons are built for killing. Yeah,
they are. They're meant for killing, and you can't vote, but you can have one of those, and I don't know. They had a mass shooting in Australia, and they totally changed the gun regulations there, and everything went down. The gun problem, and yeah, I mean, when people say they have their rights, well, we got people to wear seatbelts. What about their right to not wear a seatbelt? No, you can't. We got them to wear helmets. That was against their rights, but we did it. So why can't we do it with bullets or something?
No. Wait, it's not that we can't do it. We won't do it. And I say to voters, when you're 18, you got a voice in the United States. Make sure you exercise your constitutional right to vote for who you want. And I think they're gonna catch HD double hockey in this political arena now, because it's just crazy. It is just insane. And when you look at the Republican Party, and they just are imploding more and more every day. And people want to follow them or gives you a headache. I know it gives you. So let's get back to the fun stuff.
No, but like the whole world is watching the United States, what's happened to them. The whole world.
And they want to talk about Joe Biden because he didn't need two hands to hold up a cup of water, really. And this is what you're looking at, and they see what they want to see. But now, because you've been in the industry for a long time and you have a stellar resume, what have you learned most about your top 3 things you learned about Lisa from the time you got into the industry to where you are now?
The top things that I've learned about what?
About you. How have you grown? What have you changed?
To my detriment, I was an accommodator and a people pleaser. So that's affects making your decisions, which is a detriment because you're not making decisions based on what your instincts tell you. You're wanting to be an accommodator. I've learned that people don't recommend necessarily what's good for you. They recommend their friends. I've learned that, wow, that's a really good question.
Oh, you know what?
I've learned that even the best, somebody who's a top coach or director just may not be the right fit, and they don't bring out the best in you, and it's not a reflection on your talent. That even Olympic athletes change coaches to bring out the best in them. And I've learned that just because you do a bad audition doesn't mean you're not a good actor, because we see on the Olympics all the time people falling on the ice or falling off the beam. Doesn't mean they're not the most talented person out there, but it certainly is an indicator that it's what you're thinking, and you just have to keep, the most important thing is to keep your mental health and your physical health.
And that's it.
And surround yourself with people with values.
And people that, think like you. And as I said, you have such a great light around you. You attract good people. So tell them again about when
Well, no, I've attracted some bad people too, which is another reason when I think back why I sabotaged myself, because
that's why you gotta kick
I just didn't want, you're this girl from a small town who's blonde and blue-eyed, and you get these predators all the time. It's like, I felt safer in my small town.
And that's a good thing and not so good thing. When you learn how to protect yourself and your spirit, it has been now she done just went off altogether different. Well, it's been a pleasure to have you on the program with us, even with all the
We're frozen. You're frozen.
Yeah, it's frozen. I'm frozen on
You're
your
frozen.
side. Okay. You can't hear me? Well, anyhow, thank you so much, Lisa. This has been a very different kind of conversation, nonetheless. So you let me know when the expo comes on. I would love to have you on the program where everything is working like it's supposed to. And I want to thank Carlos Martinez for connecting us. Know that you always got a place here with Mother Love. And know, babies, that I love you. And remember this: no matter how big or tall, short or small, thick or thin, it matters not what skin you're in. Everybody needs some Mother Love now and then. Peace, babies.